What's going on, guys? I'm the filmmaker and I love movies, and welcome back to another video. Now, yep, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I'm doing the best of 10 tag, but in my defense, I was nominated by MovieBug James, so thank you very much, James, for nominating me. I was watching Jamie Powell's video and I thought, oh, it looks like a lot of fun, you know, doing that video, and so Jamie Powell nominated you, and now I have been nominated to do the best of 10 tag. Now, needless to say, I'm sure many of you have already seen MovieBug's video of it and everyone else's video of it, so I'm sure you all know the gist of it. But if I've got any new subscribers, any, you know, people who don't watch these other YouTubers are wondering what the hell is the top 10 tag, it is 10 genres and my favourite film from that genre. So I've got a list up here of the genres that we're going to be covering today. So we've got horror, animated, drama, comedy, action, comic book, western, romantic and adventure. And so yeah, that's all I've got to really explain to you for this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah. Okay, so first up we've got horror. Now I've got two answers for this one. What is my favourite or my best horror film, the best film, you know, out of that genre? And it's an interesting question whenever someone asks me that. And the best horror film would be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it is what the genre is to disturb, is to scare people. It's, you know, it's this, you know, disturbing genre because it's horror. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the film that has disturbed me the most. It's the one that I've only seen it twice. I don't watch it very often because it's so disturbing. It gets under your skin. And well, it's meant to, because it's the main, you know, layer of meaning of the film isn't, you know, a family of cannibals. It's actually saying something about killing animals. You know, the people in this film are treated like animals, and they're going through the slaughterhouse, and the slaughterhouse is this family. And in fact, a few people have said that they've become vegan after watching this film and making those connections. So it's incredibly smart. Toby Hooper, so gritty, so good. Really great direction, but of course you can see The Shining behind me. That is because I would give The Shining a 5 out of 5. It is my favourite horror film. It's Kubrick, you know. It's a film that when I first watched it, you know, after having heard the phrase scariest film of all time, having heard the phrase a masterpiece, I watched it and I wasn't scared in the slightest. I thought, why? What? Nothing scary happens. I was really underwhelmed, actually. But I found myself revisiting the film time and time again. And now when I watch it, it's haunting. It seriously is haunting. And it's so interestingly made. You know, a lot of times the 180-degree rule is broken. But it works. Somehow it works. It's like, oh, wait, you've just... Kubrick, why'd you keep on cutting to a shot where it breaks the rule? It's really odd because it's so disjointing, but it's like the way that the camera work is done, almost always central framed and stuff like that, and the whole thing where the film spawned all these conspiracy theories and things, it's just incredible. It's, you know, some of my favourite scenes of all time come from this film. So yeah, I'm not going to spend any longer on that, but that was my answer for horror. We've got animation, and of course it is The Incredibles. Now, at the time of the recording of this video, The Incredibles is on a letterbox list called my favourite films of all time. And because a lot of the backing for being one of my favourite films of all time is nostalgia. I used to watch this all the time as a kid. In fact, it was released the year I was born. So, I mean, obviously I don't watch it when it first came out, but you know, the music, it's just... like, I could just put it on now, and I'm 16 and I could have a blast with it. You know, it's universal. You don't have to be a kid to watch this, which is why Pixar is so great at what they do. They make entertaining films for adults as well as kids, and this is one of them. It's not the most mature film, I would say. That's probably Soul, but it's still one of their best. I will be rewatching it, you know, in coming up for the new Pixar film Luca. Will it, you know, not be one of my favourite films of all time? I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be. I don't know. But it's, you know, is it a 5 out of 5 film? Right now it is for me. When I rewatch it, I might have a difference of opinion, but at the moment, I love this film. Drama. Drama is a very broad genre because every genre, whether it's comedy, horror, animation, has an element of drama in that. You know, every film needs an element of drama, a conflict, whether that's external or internal, unless you're watching an art house film or something. And so when looking for my favourite drama film or the best drama film, a lot of films came up and I thought maybe that's not a drama, that's something else. And maybe this film I'm going to talk about right now, and I'm sure you can see the box set behind me, you'll probably know what I'm going to talk about. Maybe it isn't a drama, but you know, it's listed as a drama on Letterboxd. Maybe the most fullest drama I could think of would be Paris, Texas, which is an incredible film, but this just gives me an excuse to talk about one of my favourite films of all time. It is 8½. Yeah, it's listed under drama and fantasy because it's a very surreal film. It's a surrealist cinema film. Now, I'm going to keep it brief because I could talk about this film for hours, but 8½, you know, I always talk, whenever I can bring this film up, I will bring it up because it is truly, it resonates with me on another level. I have very high standards, and for a film to get into one of my favourite films of all time, you know, for me to call it that, I mean, I watched the film 8½ over a year ago, okay? And not a film since 8½, I've had no new films become a new favourite film of mine. None. It's just the direction Fellini employs, and it's about being a film director, being a filmmaker, an artist, which, you know, I'm an amateur at the moment, but I'm still a filmmaker. I'm still a bit of an artist, and so I can really connect to some of the things that Fellini is doing here. The writing on the film is just genius. It's about this film director making a film, but he never really makes it. But the film is, it's like the film is about the film of this film. It's you know, if you've seen the film, you'll know about it, but some people think it's quite hard to get into. There's a lot of kind of surreal things that happen in the film, which people are like, you know, I don't really get that, I don't really understand it. And yes, when I first watched it, I had to watch it again. But that's the beauty of the film. You just have to continue rewatching it because it's just so damn good. The music by Nino Rota, the performance by Marcello Mastroianni, it is a masterpiece. I love it. It's so good. So good. It's just, I just love it. It's so good. So there you go. Next up, we've got comedy, and for my pick for the comedy would be Some Like It Hot. Now, I know there was a few contestants here that I was like, maybe I should pick one or the other, but I went with Some Like It Hot because I gave it a higher rating. I was maybe thinking Shaun of the Dead or something like that, but Some Like It Hot, when I first watched it, and it's one of those films where I wish I could just watch it for the first time again because it's just so, it surprised me. I was not expecting it to be as funny as it was. I was laughing out loud in this film. It was so funny. And when I went to rewatch it, seen it twice, it holds up because a lot of comedies are funny when you first watch them. You watch them again, the jokes don't hold up. This film, the jokes hold up, mainly because of the great performance by Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Marilyn Monroe. All three of them bringing their A game to this film. If you don't know what the film is about, obviously you can probably see the Blu-ray behind me. It's about these two guys who they witness this kind of murdering from the mob, and so they have to got to go on the run. And they're two musicians, but the only jobs open is for women only. So then they have to dress up as women and go on, and then they both fall in love with Marilyn Monroe's character, and they're all both trying to get her. And something really happens with Jack Lemmon's character. Just really delightful film. I couldn't recommend it enough. 2001. Of course it's going to be 2001 for sci-fi. Of course it is. I mean, I could have picked Empire Strikes Back, you know, that is probably very, very close up there, but I decided to pick 2001 because I love it so much. Well, both films, 2001 and Empire Strikes Back, are both two of my favourite films of all time. But I love Kubrick. I would say he's probably the best film director, but I haven't seen every film from every film director, so I can't, it's not a very valid statement, but from what I've seen, and I've seen quite a lot, I would call him the best. He's my favourite. He's my number one favourite. So yeah, and this is the film where I think it's his best film. It's my favourite film of his. And similar to 8.5, I could talk about this film for hours and hours. I don't even know where to start. I've never really spoken about the film, I don't think, in a video before, which is crazy. Where do I actually start talking about this film? Maybe the cinematography, the music, the plot, or lack thereof. The atmosphere the film creates, the unnerving atmosphere when it comes into kind of the second act of the film, and just the themes and what you're left with at the end of the film, and people's interpretations. And I've heard many interpretations, and all of them fascinate me. What do I think of the film? What was my interpretation of it? My interpretation with it is all of the interpretations that people give. I don't watch the film with one mindset. I don't go, okay, it's about God, okay, it's about this, it's about that. I just go, wow, there's so many different things here. I think about life out there in space. I think about, technology and man and venturing out into space. It's ahead of its time. It was 1968, over 50 years ago. It's such ahead of its time. It's a masterpiece of a film. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's incredible. We've got The Matrix for my action pick, but I don't actually own it yet. I watched it very recently and was blown away by it. So I'm definitely going to pick up the 4K. It was just incredible because it's such a smart action film. It's similar to Nolan, or should I say, Nolan is similar to that because it came out, before Nolan kind of got into making these intellectual blockbuster films, because it is a blockbuster action film, but with a very clever and thought-provoking kind of premise behind it. The world that they live in and the stuff that they do, and the action is shot so well. It looks lovely. The green palette to it looks really nice. Maybe I shouldn't have gone with this because I've only seen it once. But when I looked on the genres on Letterboxd and put my highest rating, this was like one of them. I was like, it's so good. I could have picked Seven Samurai, actually, but I think calling it just an action movie is a bit, it's not just an action movie. The Matrix is a little more than that as well, but yeah. Plus, Seven Samurai doesn't have like loads of action in, but when there is action in that film, it's bloody fantastic. Yep, it's The Dark Knight. Of course I have to go with The Dark Knight. It is the best comic book film in my opinion. I very much, if we're talking about kind of like different brands of comic book, you've got DC, you've got Marvel. I used to be the type of guy that said, I love all of them. I love DC, I love Marvel. And I don't love either of them anymore. But I would say I prefer DC over Marvel, but I still watch Marvel. I'm not going to not watch Marvel. I'll still watch it, but I find a lot of their films nowadays very formulaic, so I get bored very fast, and so that they don't make for the best films in my opinion, because it's like, I've seen this, people enjoy watching the same thing over and over again. That's fine, enjoy it. I watch the same films all over and over again, the same thing, so I guess it's pretty much the same thing. But DC, I enjoy them all grounded and real films like The Dark Knight, a little bit like Joker as well. Don't get me wrong, I hate most of the DCEU because they're just trying to model after Marvel, but they're forgetting we are actually a gritty, we've got gritty characters, and when Nolan took the source material very seriously, he nailed it. No Marvel film will ever be able to get on the level of The Dark Knight, because it's just all kind of unbelievable. It's like aliens, space. I do try and, give them the benefit of the doubt, of course, I'm watching a film, but still, sometimes stuff happens and it's a little far-fetched. And I do enjoy films that, crazy stuff happens that would never happen. I mean, hell, a guy dressing up as a bat, really? But who knows in this day and age? But, I just really, I think I've spoken enough about this film. We've got Western, and of course, well, I'm talking about the most famous and the best Western film I've ever seen. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So many factors of this film make it work so well. The music, Ennio Morricone, probably one of the best soundtracks to a film ever composed. It just is incredible. It will take your breath away, and it makes so much of the film. It's one of the reasons why the film is so iconic. of course, Sergio Leone's direction of the film. I love the opening of the film. It's a film that I really want to watch. It's just the grand scale of it all. Clint Eastwood, all the other actors do such a good job in this film. You just can sit back, relax, and just watch a damn good film, because this is what this Western is. And I know a few people kind of don't really connect with Westerns that much, especially older ones as 1966. I mean, I didn't really connect with this film when I first watched it at all, actually. I was really kind of underwhelmed when I watched it, but when you watch more, you kind of appreciate the genre a lot more. So I recommend doing that, because there's some really good Westerns, especially Sergio Leone, who is probably the best spaghetti Western director out there, in my opinion. We've got romance, and the romantic genre is a genre that I like every genre, and I've got an incredible film here to talk about with you, but the genre of romance is not my strong suit, I can tell you that, because a lot of romance films that I watch are garbage, because I don't care at all about the characters. I just don't care. So that they're utterly terrible. But this film is the exact opposite of that, because not only are the characters written so well, and the story is written so well, but the film just looks incredible. It's so well made. Celine Sciamma, I believe that's how you say her name, she is such a good film director, and she knocked it out of the park with Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It uses diegetic sound, all the sounds happen within the environment, there's no kind of soundtrack to it, which makes for a very powerful ending. It's very, the sound design is so good, you can hear and feel the crackling of the fire, the crashing of the waves against the rocks. If you haven't seen this film, I highly recommend it. This is coming from a person who really finds most romance films garbage. This film is just opposite. It's so good. Last but certainly not least, we have adventure, and we've got Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is the best adventure film ever. I can't think of one that even rivals this film. Please, someone, try. It's going to be hard for you to even think of a film that rivals Raiders on being a better adventure film, because Raiders has just got everything you want in an adventure film. The incredible music by John Williams, the fantastic locations, and just the story as it is being so fantastical, going after this lost ark, getting after, against the Nazis who are trying to get it as well. Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, one of the best characters ever, just so entertaining to watch. And also Karen Allen, she's so good in this film. The villain, Belloc is such a good villain in this film as well. It's so iconic. It's one of my favourite films of all time. It is just, I can watch this film again and again and again, which I've done many times because it's just so good. I have so much nostalgia for this film. I cannot think of a film that is, rivals this film even as an adventure film. So there we have it, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. It's something a little bit different. I don't usually do these kind of videos, but I thought, hey, I was nominated. A lot of people are doing it. I thought I'd just, I don't want to kind of be ignorant to the fact that everyone's doing this, and I wanted to honour my nomination from Mr. Moviebug, from James, so thank you very much, James. I'm not going to nominate anyone because I've watched a lot of people's videos who have done this kind of tag thing, and I've looked who they've nominated, and they've nominated the people who I would have nominated, so it isn't, I can't really think of anyone who I would, I'm pretty sure everyone in the community has been nominated to do this, so this video might get lost within, the volume of videos that have been made on this subject, but hey, if you decided to stick by and watch my video on this, I really do appreciate that, so thank you very much. Yeah, so thank you everyone so much for watching, and of course I will see you again in the next video.